I think I like my potential clients to know that I'm you. I've been you. You don't really know how hard it is for you to leave your roots. It's extremely difficult. I think anybody that is children of immigrants, they can tell there's like there is this part of your heart that is missing constantly, and you don't know. You love your life, you love what you're doing, but it doesn't make it any easier. And I want my clients to know that I understand what they're going through. It might not be exactly what you've been through, but I understand your fears, I understand your apprehensions about the process, and I would like them to see me as a person that they can lean on.
Hey, I'm Armando Leduc, producer, film actor, and owner of Leduc Entertainment. I've chosen a life off the beaten path and wanted to find others that are doing the same. Spaghetti on the Wall is a show based on all of the years that I've thrown spaghetti on the wall and nurtured what stuck. We will share fun stories, ideas, tips, tricks, and more. Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you are catching this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Spaghetti on the Wall, back with another one. Flávia Moody, ladies and gentlemen, immigration attorney from living in Baton Rouge, correct?
Correct. I'm originally from Brazil, but I've been living in this great Baton Rouge, Louisiana area for almost 20 years now.
Yeah. And so you got into immigration law. Why? Why immigration law?
First of all, I am an immigrant. I totally identify with my clients, but immigration is very personal to me. When I moved to U.S., I already had that in mind for a personal experience that happened to me. Back in 2002, I came to visit my then boyfriend, now husband, I had just finished law school in Brazil. I was super excited to spend some time with my boyfriend. And I was detained at Atlanta airport. And that experience at the airport, I felt so violated. They really don't give you an explanation why you're being detained. I had the proper documentation. I was communicating well with the officer, but they, for some reason or another, the reason they provided was like my English was too good, and I have a Southern accent, and of course that meant that I came to work in the United States just visiting, as my tourist visa was the purpose of a tourist visa is to visit. And because of my English, they thought that I came here for some other motive. And that experience shaped my life because they say it's not a detention, but it is a detention because you're not free to go. And they'll put you back on the very first flight back to your home country. You can't communicate with anybody. So you're effectively detained. And because of that experience and because what happened to me, I do understand there was a little context because it was 2002, it was right after 9/11. Those things now that I've been living here for a while, I know that everything that happens in the U.S. has an effect in immigration purposes. And unluckily, I was a victim of one of those, and I was more disturbed to the fact that decision that the officer that is undoubtedly well trained but does not have any knowledge of the law really upended my whole life. I didn't know at the time, as my husband was intended to propose to me. I missed my proposal. To this day, there's like a little joke that we do between the two of us. Every time we see a movie or something that somebody's proposed, I always look at my husband and he's like, I know, I didn't get to propose. But it just, they canceled my visa. I wasn't able to see my boyfriend, now my husband, for a long, long time. And the worst of it is that decision from that person at the border is not appealable. You can't talk to anybody about it. You can appeal that decision. That decision is final. They cancel your visa and you have to return to your home country, in the very first flight. And that is really what propelled me to become an immigration attorney. I said, it was like, if you're talking to somebody that can't communicate well, what is the purpose of your visit? Imagine what happened to other people that doesn't have the same means or didn't have, the opportunity to communicate what they want to say. And and the more I'm in this role as representing immigrants, the more I see that is becoming more and more true. And that's my purpose. That's what I found out. It's just, this is here to help people like me. They've been in a situation like mine, or in a lot of times way worse than mine, and don't have a voice to speak for themselves.
So with personal injury attorneys, they work sort of on a contingency basis, right? Meaning like if they'll get paid if they win. How do you guys work in that department?
I currently work as a flat fee, so my clients know upfront what they have to pay, what the scope of the representation. We're very good in our contracts in order to limit because immigration goes in very, very different directions. Every new administration, there's a different policy that could affect the immigration case that could last years. So you have to be very detailed in your contract in order to let them know, okay, this is what we're going to work on. Anything outside that scope, you can do either hourly rate, or we can do additional flat fee. But that's what they usually do. We do a flat fee.
So you run your company, right?
Correct. Yes.
Why entrepreneurship? Why not work for someone else?
I did work for someone else for many, many years, and it was great in the beginning. In the beginning, you feel like you have to have a certain profile to be a business owner, and sometimes it takes a little while for you to identify yourself as a profile. It just became as a natural progression. I had already made a name for myself. My clients would come, even if I was working for somebody else, my clients would come asking for me specifically. I had created a great network of people that are interested in my work, and they would be able to refer me jobs. But the main reason why I wanted to open my business was because I want to create something different. And maybe some personal injury lawyers might feel different about this, but I joke around because I say I am a for-profit business, but with a nonprofit heart. I want my clients to feel heard, to be explained about. When I came through my immigration journey, and my attorney was a great attorney, but they didn't do a good job at explaining things to you. You don't know, immigration is very complex type of law, and there are several ramifications, and it was hard to get an attorney online and get them to explain to you what everything entails. And in the end, everything was fine. Everything was supposed to do, but I felt lost during the process, and I wanted my clients not to have to feel what I felt. And I like to talk to them. One of the main great things about my business, like, you will always get an attorney. You're always going to talk to an attorney. We're not the type of firm that was like, okay, I'm going to have my assistant to call you. No, you're going to talk to me. Especially because I think in immigration, if you don't know what's going on in your client's life, you're not going to be able to properly represent them. Because if you get married, if you have children, if you have a child, if you're a victim of a crime, all those things have a huge impact on your immigration status or possibilities. And then if you're not in constant contact with your client, if you're not made abreast of what's going on in their lives, how you're actually going to be able to represent them to the best of your ability. So that's one of the things I wanted to import in my firm. I want my clients to matter. I want my clients to be not just a case number, but for them to have me as their confidant and be able to talk to me personally if they need to.
How do you grow? How does somebody market, or how do you market your law firm for immigration? Like, how do people know about you besides word of mouth?
But yeah, word of mouth is the most valuable tool. But that's what most people do. Most people come here. An attorney, a lot of times I compare with a doctor, because it is, the majority of the time is word of mouth. You hear, okay, there is a level of a trust that comes between client attorney, and that is what I think the majority of my clientele comes from word of mouth. But we do social media, mostly to inform people what's going on, because if I keep the population informed of what are the changes in immigration, there are many, I think they'll feel comfortable to come to me and talk to me about their case.
Yeah, no, for sure. So talk to me about, because like I'm always curious to know what everybody's sort of customer journey is. Are you familiar with like the Domino's pizza tracker?
I am not, but I'll be happy to to know what it's
So the
about.
Domino's pizza tracker just kind of tells you like, all right, hey, your pizza's been ordered. Okay, now it's being made.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's in the oven, right? So
It's en route.
so they like to call
Yeah.
that the customer journey, right? So how do you guys sort of implement the customer journey into your law firm?
Well, I think the most important thing is communication between the attorney and the client or potential client.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be very frank and open. And from the moment they call my firm to make an appointment, the first thing I do, I call them back. And first of all, I need to assess to see if it's something I can help them with. And if it's something I can help them with, great, we schedule an appointment. If not, I'll refer. If I know somebody that will be able to take care of that case, I'll refer that to somebody else. If it is somebody that we can help, I'll be happy to help. We schedule an appointment. I'll have them to bring all and any documentation they have pertaining to their immigrant status, and I make a thorough assessment of the case. I give them the options, the scope of the representation, and the price of the representation. And from that point on, they decide they want to hire or not. So that is, I guess, in order to...
Yeah, no, it's no worries. So does it change? Because I know you said immigration and everybody sort of has their own thing going on. I guess it does change, right? Like not every case is the same.
For a long time, I work in a personal injury firm. Personal injury is great because you have all the steps. It rarely changes because the law rarely changes. And when you talk about personal injury, you're not talking about any policies that may or may not influence, that person's, journey on an immigration or on the personal injury case. On immigration is much different. You have to constantly be aware of what is happening around you, because all of that may or may not influence your immigration case. Changes in policies, change in administration, change in personal issues in your own life can have a huge impact of how the attorney is going to represent. So it's very important to have that feedback from your client and back and forth. And it's very important for us to make that assessment. And that assessment may change, may have come now just recently there was a case federal case in which was discussing the authority of an immigration judge to close case based on prosecutorial discretion. And that was a debate. That's something that happens in every court, everywhere, anywhere in the United States. But it was an issue in immigration because immigration is a politically charged issue. And for a long time, the judges didn't have authority to say, can I or cannot close this case? This case is not important. This person is not a danger to society. I would rather be focusing our time and our resources to somebody that could actually have a negative impact in our community. And until this recent case, the judge could not know for certainty if they can do that. So that is something that is just came up, 2 months ago. And that's something that we're advising our clients now as a potential additional representation if they're interested. So you have to be aware. What we talk about 1 year ago, sometimes 1 month ago, may no longer be valid. The law won't change. The law is the same. But the way your legal strategy, it may change depending on policies.
So basically the goal is for your clients is to get them legal? Is that mainly the goal, or does that depend, like whether or not they could keep their kid here? I mean, I don't really, because you're not suing the state, right? Like, there's no money to be gained from the defendant, right?
No. It's I don't like to make this comparison, but for people to understand, I think it's usually better that I compare there with maybe a traffic court, right? You have a prosecution,
Gotcha.
which are going to be the government attorney, and you have a defense. You can, in immigration, you have a right to the attorney, but attorney is not going to be provided to you free of charge like they do in a criminal matter, for instance. So you have a right to the attorney, but if you don't have the means to have the attorney, you're going to go through this journey on your own. And it's a little bit, immigration courts are not Article 1 courts, which means that they are an administrative type of court. So they're all under the umbrella of the Department of Justice. And the judges, they are appointed by the Attorney General. And the Attorney General, as everybody knows, can change in each administration. So, you can have maybe a Democrat president that will appoint certain type of judges. And you may have a Republican president that may appoint a Attorney General. They have more conservative, background. So it's like a court, it's like a traffic court, because an immigration matter is not a criminal matter as much a lot of people may think it is. Some of them have entered without the proper documentation, as somebody could have, drove your car with the expired license. That doesn't make them a criminal. It make them somebody that make somebody that for she X, Y, and Z came here or did not fulfill the requirements of the law when they attempted to enter the U.S. And
there's so many different
job, the goal is to make them legal, but that's not gonna, because it's so factual based type of representation. Not all of them are gonna be eligible. We try, and that's another thing that we have to do as an immigration court. You have to set expectations for your clients, because not everything is going to rise to the level of persecution that is required for asylum or withholding of removal when you're talking about representing somebody for removal or deportation proceeding at immigration court. So you have to set expectations as well. And you as an attorney, you try to present your client's case in the best light possible, to have the best outcome, but not always have the outcome desired.
Yeah, no, for sure. So when somebody gets, say they get in a car accident, right, and they're an immigrant, is that now a case for you, or is that a case for a personal injury attorney?
So it's going to may have two ramifications, right? You have a personal injury. When I work in personal injury, we represented a lot of people that didn't have any documents. That didn't make them ineligible to pursue, a personal injury claim. So that is on a civil matter. Now, for instance, an example, they get involved in a car accident. It wasn't their fault, but, they called the police, they did a police report, and by luck or by chance, there's a ERO or ICE patrol that came by. I was like, hey, what's going on here? Oh, you don't have any documentation? Okay, now you may be put in proceedings for a different matter, because the police officer cannot arrest anybody based on their immigration status. The only person that can do that, why is that? Is because if you have any criminal matter or a traffic issue, that's a state law, that's state related. And the immigration matters are federally, there's a federal law. So only federal agency, and in this case would be ICE, which is Immigrant Customs Enforcement, or ERO, which is another branch of the Department of Homeland Security, that is responsible for apprehending people that does not have a legal immigration status in the U.S. So not everybody,
Gotcha.
nobody can make a citizen arrest, or even a police officer doesn't have the authority to do that. Although some of them don't know that. They think they do. I had a client that was unlawfully detained because he was a passenger on a vehicle that was in an accident, and the police officer thought that was his right to arrest him. And I had to explain to the officer, this is unlawful arrest. You could be you could be in trouble.
So what happened? So what happens in that way? Like, they're can they sue in a situation like that, or no?
They can sue. Yeah, they can sue. You have to prove damages in any other area of a civil suit, but you can do a civil suit against a law enforcement agency that unlawfully apprehended your client. So that's another avenue to pursue.
Yeah.
I had a client that was, for instance, he was beaten by immigration officers while he was detained in a detention facility in Miami, and then we actually filed a complaint on behalf of him because it's abuse of authority, and that won't prevent them from being deported, but it's some sort of recourse that you have from that particular issue.
So when somebody, and I don't know what the law is right now, and you said it's constantly changing, if you come here undocumented, right, and you have children here, they're automatically U.S. citizens?
No. That's a lot of misconception.
Okay.
A lot of people talk about anchor babies. There's no such thing as anchor babies. Even if you came here and you have your child in the United States, even if it turns 20, because you as a child cannot petition for anybody, right? As your parent. I'm a U.S. citizen now. I petitioned for my mom in Brazil to come and be a permanent resident, and she is now. But she was in Brazil. She didn't have any unlawful presence. She didn't have any unauthorized stay. So that was a fairly simple process. I petitioned for her. Once it's approved, I'll file for immigrant visa, and then she will come to the United States legal with an immigrant visa, which is different than a non-immigrant visa, such as the tourist visa. So she came here with the intent to migrate permanently. And when she got here, she got her green card and everything was fine. For people that have children here, if you're here for a long period of time, you're not going to be eligible to adjust your status here because you didn't enter lawfully. So even if you have children here, and there are waivers for that, but there is no waivers for, that waivers phrases between spouses. So I'm here and I have a long period of unauthorized stay. I marry a U.S. citizen. I can do in the waiver based on the hardship that your U.S. citizen spouse is going to suffer may play a part on you, but there is no waiver between the child that is petitioning for you and your parent. So he might even petition for you, but you won't be able to get it. You have to at least return to your country for 10 years in order to return. So it's not like everybody thinks it is. So
yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I just got educated just now.
Yeah, a lot of people don't because that's not it's a complex issue, which is hard for people to find out on their own. And on top of that, again, immigration is such politically charged. Sometimes people say things on the media that's not necessarily is the truth legally. And then there's the misconception is perpetrated until becomes the new truth. Sadly. I wish people would come to me and like, Flavia, is that really true? I would say with gusto, no, it's not true.
Heard. So what would you like your potential clients to know about you?
I think I like my potential clients to know that I'm you. I've been you. I've been in your shoes. I know how hard it is, how difficult it is. Until you're an expat, you don't really know how hard it is for you to leave your roots. It's extremely difficult. I think anybody that is children of immigrants, they can tell there's like there is this part of your heart that is missing constantly, and you don't know. You love your life, you love what you're doing, but it doesn't make it any easier. Um, and in order for you to leave your country to go elsewhere, especially if it's based on persecution, it's a lot. And I want my clients to know that I understand what they're going through. It might not be exactly what you've been through, but I understand your fears, I understand your apprehensions about the process, and I would like them to see me as a person that they can lean on.
That's awesome. All right, I've got some
If it
rapid
makes
fire
sense.
questions
Yeah.
for you. No, for sure.
Ooh.
That's great. I love that. I love that for sure. All right, here's some fun questions for you. Give me 1 second.
You know that is the worst thing when
Okay.
you ask attorneys for hot, rapid fire, because we tend to just talk and talk and talk. That's not
Oh,
usually
I
a yes or
know.
no answer.
It's
As you may
okay. I
know.
love it. I know it. I know it. All right.
Go ahead, put me on the hot seat.
What's It's all good. What's the best piece of life advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice: do what you love, and the success and money comes after. If you do what you love, the success and the financial security is just a consequence of that initial decision.
Mm. What is the number one sign that tells you that you've had a productive day?
Ooh, number one sign is when at the end of the day, I make lists. I make lists for everything. When the end of the day, and not always I go through and check all the lists, but when I check those little boxes and they're all checked, that's when I know that I had a productive day.
There you go. What is your number one motivator in life?
My family. My family. Another reason I created my own business, and for some people I think it's crazy because own your own business is hard, but it gives you flexibility to spend quality time with your children. It has to be a conscious decision. You cannot just take time off and be on your computer and taking phone calls when you're supposed to be with your family. But that's number one decision. I have full control of my time, and I have disposed of that time to match my children's time off, my husband's time off, and we can actually be together as a family and enjoy without being preoccupied if, oh my God, if my boss is going to take this well or not, or if it's going to be a problem, if I have, I already used all my PTO, what I'm going to do.
Yeah. How do you overcome fear and rejection?
I don't know if I ever feared being rejected. I am of the personality that just like, and that if you don't try, you never know. I'd rather do something and be rejected than always be thinking, what if? So that's something I never, and I think it's something that it's a cultural thing too. In Brazil, a lot of people, we have a saying that's like, the baby that doesn't cry doesn't get the bottle. So you have to try, and that just comes. So that fear of rejection never really. I think is culturally inexistent in Brazil.
I love it. And where do you
Yeah.
think you're going to be in 10 years from now?
I hope that I will be with a boutique firm that have a good work-life balance, not only for me, for all my employees, and that it will be a complete firm in the sense that we can help any person, all stages of the immigration process, either if it's in a family realm, on a business realm, on a work visa realm, or even in an immigration court realm. We'll be able to be a full stop, all-encompassing immigration firm.
Love it. All right. Flavia, where can they find you?
They find me at Instagram at Rocha Moody Law, or Facebook, Rocha Moody Law. They can call me at 225-434-0969. That's also a WhatsApp number. I know all my clients love WhatsApp. Llámame por WhatsApp. And you're always going to have an attorney. And my office is located at 2900 Westport Drive in Suite 401 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But again, as a immigration office, we are a federal law type of firm, so we can actually represent you in anywhere you're at. You know, there's a need to be in Louisiana.
Cool.
You can be in Florida. You can be in Mississippi. You can be. I have tons of clients from Boston and Chicago that have a big Brazilian community there, and they have a shortage of Brazilian attorneys that do immigration in some areas. And they feel free to call me and contact me.
Fantastic. That's awesome, Flavia. Thank you so much for being on the show. And if you guys are looking for immigration help, please reach out to Flavia. Rocha Moody Law Firm. Rocha Moody Law Firm. And I really appreciate you being here.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me the outlet, to express, not only to speak about something that I'm so passionate about, but to make my business known to other people.
100%. And that was Spaghetti on the Wall, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by LaDuke Entertainment. For all of your social media, marketing needs, videos, podcasts, we got you. And you can watch Spaghetti on the Wall anywhere where you can catch a podcast. Just Google us. We're all over the place. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye.